Things are gonna get crazy!
Most everyone's mad here.
Hey, yo, people! Welcome back to another fun-filled episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. How are we all doing today? Are you guys fine? I hope you're all fine. Oh, okay, well, that definitely answers my question. Thank you so much, Gord, for the subscription there. But today we actually got a very fun-filled and very exciting episode because I'm not alone here once again. Yeah! Oh, wow, even more subscriptions suddenly coming in. Thank you, King Cerulean, right there. But now, I actually do have a guest star with me. He is back once again after that massive episode all dedicated to this year's D23. What the fridge is happening? And now we got a hype train incoming. Thank you, Metarel, for the subscription right there. Oh my god, we really are getting the good times rolling with the subscriptions. But without further ado, let's go and welcome back Logan. Logan, what's up, my man?
Oh, I've been doing good. I am definitely doing great. I think this is like my 5th appearance on this podcast, if I'm not mistaken.
That could be. I don't know. I never keep track of like the amount of times that people would keep coming in. I mean, it's just great to have like someone over and like have a chat and like actually have some good dynamic for this podcast. It's always a fun time no matter what.
Oh yeah, especially with the news we got today. Yeah, there's definitely, I'll try my best not to go into depth like last time, but I mean, come on, last time there's a lot we got to talk about, so it's like
it was the D23 Expo. That is like one excuse why it's okay to go and like go more than 3 hours on that episode.
That is for sure, yeah. But yeah, it was a fun episode, so
Oh, absolutely. But with that said, now that we are in a brand new episode, Logan, are you ready for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast?
for this one, I am definitely nerve excited.
All
and
right.
you'll soon see why.
Alrighty then. Now, Chatwall, are you ready for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? Let me hear it, folks. Are you all prepared? Are you all ready? Let's see. Yep. Okay, that's beautiful. Everyone's prepared. Everyone is all set. And now, with all that said and done, it is now time that we shall go and get things started. And with our first story, well, this is actually going to be something very special because this is not me showing you something. This is actually Logan who wants to show you something. And in a way, this is not really going to be just your regular AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast episode with a special guest. This is also going to be partly an interview because what we're going to talk about is going to be Logan's new passion project. Now that he is moving on from the usual internet videos that he would go and make, he is now going to go and jump even a bigger step to create a brand new animated series. And we actually got the trailer right over here. So with that said, let us go ahead and begin by checking out the trailer. Yeah! And by the way, thank you for the extra subscription there, TK. But yes, now let's check out the trailer and our first look at Amazement Park.
Looking to spend quality time with the ones you love? Amazement Park is the destination for you. Dive into the worlds of 7 themed lands that feature some of our most beloved characters for all to enjoy. Experience the excitement from the many thrilling adventures, getting to meet new friends along the way, and making great memories to remember for a lifetime. There's something for everyone, from the young to the young at heart. Amazement Park. Stay a while to get a smile.
Looks like we got ourselves a vacation plan! Hey! Say something! Say something funny!
son!
Excuse me, ma'am. My slushy gave me brain freeze. Are you listening? I said my slushy gave me brain freeze!
Everyone, please! We're at full capacity today! There's nothing we can do beyond that!
Yeah! All right! Best ride
Looks like we've got ourselves a vacation plan.
I need a soda to get through all this.
It cost how much?
And that is Amazement Park, Logan's brand new animated series, or at least what we have seen is the concept trailer. Now, Logan, would you mind explaining to us a little bit more about what is Amazement Park?
So basically, as you mentioned, Matt, this is definitely a new passion project for me, something I've had in mind for years. And it all began as most of the people know listening to this podcast, that I am a huge fan of theme parks, whether it be from Disney, Universal, Cedar Fair, just any theme park imaginable. Like, it's always a great time going there, and I always have a great time and make the best out of it. However, even though I really enjoy it, there are so many things that I do have issues with it, whether it be the parks themselves or just the environment you're at. And so basically what the series is going to be mainly about is it's just having that overall theme park experience, whether it be like from the positive or the negatives, mostly the negatives. So it's mainly going to be like a satire, like making fun of like the whole, like having a theme park experience. And there's like so many things that I have planned for it episodes wise. Like, for example, Matt, for example, like I'm sure like you've been to theme parks before, right?
Yeah, of course. I've been to Disney. I've been to Universal.
Has there ever been like a particular moment that has there like a memory that you had where it's like, it's either like an annoyance or something you saw from a distance that was like, okay, that just happened? Or any like bad experience you had before at theme parks?
Oh yeah, I've definitely had bad experiences before. I've had times like, actually the funny thing is, last time actually was I was at Disneyland, which was almost 5 years ago, and I ended up getting sick, which there have been some bad moments that did happen, including one moment when I was in line at Soarin' and I ended up throwing up, which was not fun.
Oh geez.
Oh yeah. It was actually because of a bad Ricola that I had.
Gotcha. Well, at least you did it before you went on Soarin', because otherwise, ugh. But anyways, I feel like there's like always like those experiences where it's like not just for yourself, but also like just like witnessing like everybody else being there. Like where you see like from a distance, like you see people complaining about like, oh, the weather's so hot, oh, the lines are long, or you see like people being disrespectful towards like the cast members and all that stuff. And I just like see that as like that seems like so like the mindset is like, yeah, there's some things you can complain about, but the way I see it is like it shows like potential, like it definitely has like comedic potential, like how I can like explore that, but in a fun way. And so what the series, like I said, the series is going to be about like just like that, just being at a presence at a theme park, where some of the episodes I had in mind would be like dealing with long lines, dealing with the heat, seeing like rude people from a distance, experiencing some of the rides, being stuck on a ride, and just like all these like different ideas. Like think of like the worst scenario you could be at a theme park, but in a more comedic fashion. And that's the way I see it. And I just had like this idea for a while because I've been like, I'll go back from the very beginning. So how all this started was back in 2011. I made this short video for my cousins because we went to Disney World back in 2011, and they were like, I want to say 6 or 7 at the time, and they had like a fun time. That after the trip, I want to do something special for them by making like this short, like 3 to 5 minute animation, cutout animation, which you can find on my YouTube channel. I think it's called A Trip to Disney Unexpected. But yeah, I just made that, and ever since I created it, the back of my mind is like, I had like a fun time like making fun of like the Disneyland, Disney World. It's like I should definitely like keep that at the back of my mind to do like more with it down the road. Like do like this fun like parody of like what it's like to be at like just at not just at Disney, but also like in any theme park in general. And I just felt like it just has like so much comedic potential that it could be, because I love watching episodes that are like themed around like theme parks, because there's like two specific episodes like that I like in TV shows. First, it's like making fun of like the animation progress, and the second would be like making fun of the theme parks. Like think like that episode of Simpsons, Itchy and Scratchy Land.
I was thinking like either Itchy and Scratchy Land or oh, what was that? Like the Duff theme park, right?
Yeah,
there?
Duff Gardens.
Duff Gardens.
Yes. The episode's called Selma's Choice, but I know that I'll admit I love that episode more than Itchy and Scratchy Land. Even though Duff Gardens didn't really, even though that episode didn't really touch upon the theme parks, just everything about that third act, like all the jokes hit so much. I love it. Like my favorite joke out of that is like the 7 Duffs.
Yeah,
really, they lift up like the names. I love that so much. But yes, because I've been to the theme park so much that I just love it. Love people like make like a satirical take on it, and it's just like so much fun. And even though I've never worked at a theme park before, not to say I don't see myself working at one anytime soon, because I rather not, from what I've been told. But just like the experience alone, like it's just like fun to like go in and like be like, yeah, I'm not because I appreciate the theme parks that go into it. Like I have all the respect towards the people that are working to it, that make the rides for it. It's not so much, the show's not so much about the theme park itself. It's more just like the people and certain situations you encountered during the theme park. Like with this series, as of right now, I don't have any plans to go into like the backstory as to how this theme park got made. It's more just like seeing like how people interact with like certain things. Like another episode I had in mind is like I'm going to do like this over the top parody of like how people are like obsessed with like certain like drinks or like snacks. Like a good example is butterbeer from Universal. Like, have you ever had butterbeer before?
Oh yeah, I did. Like I only went that one time at Universal, but I did taste it. Like yeah, it's quite an experience in itself.
It is so good. And I was like drinking that. I think to myself, oh man, it's so good that I literally bought like 3 of those. It's pricey, but to me, it was worth it. And I was like thinking to myself, what if I were to take that scenario, but go extreme with it? Like think of it like once the person take a sip of that drink, they become like a drug addict, where they like been so obsessed to it that they start like drinking everything of that drink and like go to like different people, try to like snatch their drinks and all that stuff. Like going like over the top with it, basically. Like that nice like think the way I describe this is like think The Simpsons meet Rocko's Modern Life. Like that kind of humor, basically.
Right, I gotcha. Now there is one thing that we did talk about it before like the show started, but one thing that I am curious to know, and I'm sure many others are wondering, is the transition of going from the old videos that you used to do, like the My Little Pony meets and stuff like that, because you've gathered quite a following from that, and now you're making it to making your own animated series. What I would like to know is, how was the process of moving away from the cutout animation that you've done for your videos, and even for some of my videos with Animation Look Back, Disney Animation Plus, now going to your own original animated content?
Well, it's interesting because I've been wanting to like branch out to like hand-drawn animations all the way back in like 2017. And the reason why that came to be is like, because people are familiar with how I do like the cutout styles, and they love that kind of like style. But around like that time, I just become like disinterested in it, because I feel like I could like, if I want to see myself expand as an animator, I want to like branch out from doing like the cutout style, because if you think of it this way, if you want to do like your own like original series with that style, chances are it probably won't work unless you're doing like a parody of something, like using like actual like people's faces, as opposed to like, let's say, taking my face but customizing it to make it more original. And I think back to like,
so basically, basically, if you want to do an Angela Anaconda style.
I was just about to say that, yeah, because like looking at that, it's like people find that show like so unpleasant to look at that I have that mindset. It's like, yeah, it's probably for the best I don't go with that style. I mean, like I said, it works best if you're doing like a parody of like a certain celebrity or all that stuff. But to make an actual series about that, chances are you're going to leave with people with nightmares more than anything. No disrespect to Angelic Anaconda and all those stuff, but I'm just saying, like, it's something that most people don't really appreciate. And it came to that point where it's like I've been doing like some experimentations with how I can do like drawings with like hand drawn stuff. And the first example of this, and it's like I made this video like years ago called Cuphead Meets My Little Pony. That's like the first one where I actually did like test out like the hand drawn when it comes to like Cuphead and Mugman themselves, like the characters there, as opposed to just like taking like a screen cap of like the characters to go from there. No, I actually like drew those and start from there. And so after that, I've been like practicing more like how to execute my own style. So I've been like drawing like different characters to like see like how I'm gonna do like my own like unique style to make it more or less different than anybody else's. And you mentioned your animation looks back. Those were like a great way to like experiment more when it comes to like the more like hand drawn stuff. Yeah, I did like the cutout stuff too, but when it comes to like stuff like, let's say, the Disney princess pregnancy scene, sounds weird saying that out of context, but like, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, working with that is like, that's like a good way to like, I mean, with those, it's like I try to like draw more into like their style, but it's more of a good way like how to actually do like make like the shapes first, then the proportions, like head sculptures and all that stuff. And so yeah, when it comes to like more stuff like that, that's a great way to help me do like more drawings and all that stuff. And another good example is, you know, that one like Sword in the Stone animation, the Smash Brothers with Arthur like swinging his sword.
Yes.
That was a good way to like experiment, because if I remember correctly, I think I did like 30 frames of that, all just like, all in single layers. So it's like I drew like one frame, then I drew a second one, third one, all went through there. And yeah, I still need a little work on that, but it helps like be more experimental, like how to do like this stuff down the road. And I'm not going to say like I'm going to do that for the most part, because that is very time consuming. But when it comes to like more just like drawing in general, it helps me like progress more to become a better drawer. And so that helps me like create more like how to like come up with my own style. As you can see here, like the character designs are definitely more cartoony, and I really do like that cartoony style. I can't really think of like any comparison how to describe my style. I just see it as like the best way to describe it is like if you mix a little bit of South Park with a little bit of Friendship is Magic, if that makes sense.
Okay.
You may not see that, but that's the way I kind of like the best way to describe my like designs and such. But yeah, that's where I'm at. And then like while I was working on your sketch on animation look back, as I'm working on that while also working on my previous series, it just came to my mind that honestly, I just find the whole idea of like doing these kind of like parodies, like taking pre-existing characters and make my own like parodies, they're just not as fun as they used to be. And the reason why is because I feel like when I show like people my animations, I'll show them what I've got, and they'll be like so confused of what they're looking at. It's like, what's this character from My Little Pony? Like, why are they meeting Batman and all that stuff? They're like looking at it more confused than anything. And it's not just that, but also like I just feel like so awkward trying to like write characters that are not mine into like my own style. And every time I like look back at my previous stuff, like a good example is when I did the Rick and Morty Meets My Little Pony episode, I just cringed just by watching that, because I feel like, yeah, I did it, but at the same time, it's like, why though?
No, I
And
mean,
honestly,
I just
oh,
want to
sorry,
say, I just want to say that what you're going through is something that every artist goes through, no matter what. Like, even if they're either if they're an animator, a content creator, an artist, a filmmaker, or whatever, they will look back at their older stuff and they will cringe. Even for me, like, I feel like the stuff that I've done 2018 and beforehand, that's just cringe for me. I can't look back on that.
yeah, it's not easy for us, and I get it. Like sometimes I like your older stuff, but you looking back at it is like, yeah, I just don't like it. I just don't see it as how you view it. But that's the thing too. Is like I just want. And don't get me wrong, those videos when I did make those, they were fun. They're like a great way to like kill time at the moment. And like I was making them for fun, like. But at the same time, it's like I want to like branch out and like do more than just like parodies of like already existing IPs. And so I figure like this year would be like a good opportunity to like get the ball rolling. Which unfortunately I did have to like cancel my previous project, the what was supposed to be the last episode of the My Little Pony Meet series, but I decided to cancel it because at that point I was feeling so stressed with myself, not just with that, but also like with work and also like work on this project. And there's like so much happening all at once. And it came to the point where it's like, yeah, I'm just going to like cut the ties with My Little Pony Meets. I'll release what I got so far with this project. And most people are definitely very respectful with my decision. But you get those that be like, cool. So when are you going to make Scooby-Doo meets My Little Pony? Like, I get those kind of comments, and I tend to like brush those off to the side. And unfortunately, I still get those kind of comments nowadays, not knowing that I canceled the series, but I'm not going to dwell on that. And so, yeah, that's how the transition, yeah, obviously wasn't easy to like let go of like the previous project, but at the same time, we all got to move on.
No, I completely understand. I mean, there is that, like, it's something that's not often talked about, but there is a point where for some, like, for content creators, I know, like, technically making internet videos is still a relatively new career path, but for many people, there will come a point where, like, they just want to stop doing it and pursue something, like, much bigger and, like, something completely different. And I know you're not the only one following down that path. But speaking of which, though, with Amazement Park, now that you're pursuing to go and creating your own animated series, what are you hoping for to reach? Like, what are you hoping for to have Amazement Park grow? Like, I'm sure eventually you want it to get picked up by a big name company or something like that. But what are your future plans now? Like, now that you revealed Amazement Park, now that the word is out, now people are aware of what is Amazement Park, what are going to be the next steps of what you want to do, and what is going to be the big goal of it?
So the next step for me is I'm going to treat this how I treat my previous series, is that I'm still going to make these videos for fun. I will try my best to like push it out there so that like more people will be aware of it. So the next step for me is obviously making the pilot episode, which basically for that, I'm going to like divide it into like 3 separate episodes. I'm debating if I should like separate them as 3 episodes or combine them into 1 episode, but I haven't thought about that just yet. But the unfortunate news with that is like that will definitely take me some time to make. So don't expect it to be anytime soon. But however, something I have in mind is like while I'm working on the first episode, I am going to be making much more shorter episodes. What will be like no more than 30 seconds. And basically this is what I'm going to do with these ones. It's like they won't focus the main characters, but more just like jokes I had in mind for the series, but potentially I don't see myself actually using them for the actual show itself. So I'm just going to like go what I had in mind and just create like these very short 30 seconds videos or less about like as more the way like showcase like what to expect out of the series, what to expect from the humor, the environment, and all that stuff. And I definitely like list down like what these videos are. So this will help keep a good way to like not only help like promote the series more, but also like keep the account busy as I'm like working on the first episode. So I won't reveal what these episodes are just yet. So just be surprised when I release like a few shorter episodes like here and there. So I don't consider these canon, but you'll see. I may eventually reuse some of these jokes in the future, but it's more like a tool to help like spread the word more in case like if somebody watches this particular video and be like, oh, that's funny, I'm gonna like retweet that. They can like share that across if needed. So yeah, it helps like keep like things busy for me. Yeah, it'll be even more busy, but honestly, I don't mind it. I love doing these animations, so I can like work on these as much as I can. So
you're not going to look for anyone else to help you work on it. You're not going to go and hire any extra animators or have a crew ready with you. Like you're not going to go in the same. Are you going to go in the same route as Vivzy Pop with Hell of a Boss or Has Been Hotel?
as of right now, I don't have, with the exception of the voice actors and maybe potential background artists, I'm going to do all this by myself as of right now, at least for like those shorts and the first episode. And the reason I say that is because depending on how well the first episode does, I will definitely consider like hiring more. Well, I don't want to say I want to start like a Kickstarter because those can be kind of tricky. So depending on how well the first episode does, I will definitely consider that, like get a Kickstarter started so that way I have enough like money to like hire like more animators to help me participate with this project. But yeah, as of right now, the most help I'll definitely need is the voice actors, actresses, and maybe like a few like shots I might need help with that I know they're going to be like more complicated from my end. But it's hard to say down the road if I'm going to need like some assistance, more animators to help me when it comes to like the first episode. But for now, I'm just basically going to do this all by myself. So that way, yeah, just right now, just going to do it by myself.
All right. Well, for now, we're just going to go and take a quick break. But when we do return, we're going to go and collect some feedback from the chat wall to hear what they think in regards to Amazement Park, to see if they got anything extra they would like to add. So we'll be right back. And you go and think about what you want to say or what you want to ask to Logan. And we're back. All right, chat wall. Now it's going to be your turn to know what you would like to know from Logan. So if you have any questions or if you have any comments that you would like to go and express in regards to Amazement Park, let us know what you think. Write it down below in the chat wall. So let's go and see what you guys have to say about this one. All right, let's see. Got to admit, the show looks interesting. The jokes about theme parks do land, and it's nice to see more indie projects coming around lately. Also, I would love to see a Defunct Land reference in this show. And also, not sure if this would happen, but to Logan, apologies if in advance if a bunch of randos look at your show and make unfair comparisons between your shows and Hell of a Boss. Oh, that would that would make an interesting episode, I must say. That would like, you should have an episode dedicated to like the influencers or even like the vloggers who go around. Like, imagine getting some kind of like Amazement Park YouTuber or whatever. You need to go and do that.
Oh yeah, I was like kind of thinking about that because part of the inspiration for the series was also like those like YouTubers that talk about like theme parks. Would it be like Defunct Land, Yesterworld, Disney Dan, Tony Goldmark, like all those people, like they're like fun to watch. Like I just love, it helps me like get like more of an inspiration of like just like theme parks in general. So
not to mention that it would be a good chance to actually go and ask them if they want to be like a special guest.
Yeah, I'll think of it like if I ever do want to get like special guest stars, like my goal would be get those guys because it makes more sense to have those people be like the special guest stars.
Oh, of course. All right, let's see what other comments we have. You know, it wasn't what I was expecting from a show of this premise, but I liked what I saw here. The animation's pretty cute. The portrayal of the theme park and the visitors is surprisingly realistic. The voice acting is top notch. I'm gonna check it out once it hits. But for now, I send my compliments to the chef. Well, chefs, considering Matt was involved in some capacity. That is true. I was actually the voice on some of these, actually.
Yeah, you voiced two different characters in that.
I was the one at the beginning where I was like, "Confound you, son!" And then I was the cast member who got trampled on. Like, please, we're at maximum capacity.
Yeah, as of right now, those names are the Sunbird guy. I named him Lobster Boy, and then the cast member I name him Wart, as in worried Wart.
Yeah. Not to mention, like, even when looking at the character, he does look like Arthur from Sword in the Stone, so makes sense to call him Wart.
I never thought of that, but now thinking about it, yeah, you're kind of right.
All right, let's see. For the animation, ooh, and for the humor, as a fan of your work, I'm pretty stoked to see this one. I always appreciate watching your videos because they remind me of a South Park meets My Little Pony combination. And with this, I'm actually more excited. Thanks, hold on. Thanks for showing us this new series you're making.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Also, really, I guess like to describe like who can watch it. I'm basically gonna like make this for everybody. It's not gonna be like, oh, this is just be for kids. It's gonna only be for adults. I want to think of it as like a nice middle ground. Think like classic Looney Tunes or The Simpsons, where it's like, yeah, there's like some jokes made for adults, but really it doesn't go as far-fetched as like South Park or Family Guy.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure like anybody can watch this.
Yeah, like a good Cartoon Network style general audience.
Exactly, yeah.
It makes sense. From what has been shown so far, this looks rather promising. The comedy with the parks was quite fun, the voices sound pretty good, and for something that was done by one guy, the animation is pretty decent. I'm also glad to see Logan try something, and I can relate to that feeling of wanting to try something new after you have done one certain thing for so long. Also, Logan, are we going to get some more YouTuber cameos in the show, like Matt as the one employer?
I definitely have people in mind, but it all depends on who I'm going to be able to get cast. Like, once I get the first episode written down, I will definitely get in contact with like certain people. Like, spoilers ahead, yes, I'm going to have you reprise your role as that Ward character, Matt.
All right,
because awesome. I do have a role for him. So, yeah. But if I don't have anybody in mind for a certain role, I will definitely post auditions into the social media pages. So if you do, I'm sure I'll mention this later when it comes to like where you can follow the series. But just keep that in mind that I will be posting auditions for certain characters if needed. So
yeah. And there are some people that I know that you could probably give a shot. Like I know some actors that maybe you can give them a role or two. Like they can have like some good distinct voices. Like maybe not necessarily for the main girls, but for like some of the Amazement Park people. Like I could think of some ideas.
I love working with like people I worked with in the past, so I like to hear like most of those voices coming back if they're interested.
Ah, that is true. Imagine bringing back Elsie Lovelock.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right. I'll read one more comment before we take another break. As someone who has been in a ton of theme parks, including Warner Brothers, Movie World in Australia, Alton Towers, and Drayton Manor Park in the UK, and all 4 parks at Walt Disney World, Florida, I look forward to this cartoon. I too started off as a fan animator. I am still doing that, but I do have plans for original animations in the future. Been doing so for about 10 years. Don't know if I could do an interview with you, AniMat, because of a big time zone difference. 12 hours away. Well then, that is kind of a stark difference there. But yeah.
Indeed.
So that definitely is a nice chat in regards to knowing what Amazement Park. And one more thing I would like to ask Logan, if there would be a release or a time frame of when that pilot episode would come out, would you know when that would be?
I am definitely making my goal to have it out by next year, 2023. As for when, I will say at most probably Q4, maybe Q3, but it all really depends on my schedule, because I should also mention that I am still at my J job, so I gotta find the right balance between that and my animations, and also my personal life as well. So, but I will definitely make my goal to have it done at least by next year, so that way people will get like a few experience what Amazement Park will be. Yeah. And like I said, I'm still gonna get those like shorter videos out as well. Don't have a time frame on when those are going to be released, so just be on the lookout for those.
All right, sounds good. So, now with that one done, we'll be right back, and then soon we will be going back to our regular news stories. And we are back. All right. Now, considering that we just talked about an animation-related theme park news with Logan's new animated series, we might as well go and show off some of that theme park knowledge that Logan has, so that the Amazement Park creator can add his commentary on some theme park news. Now, Logan, last time, I think, or the last time you were here, I think the longest segment that we had for the D23 episode was with the theme parks one.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Nah, it's all good. It's all good. We all had a good time regardless. But with our next story, though, this is going to be one that I would really like to know your thoughts on it, especially considering that very recently I saw on your social media that you were actually there, weren't you?
I was, yeah. I didn't talk about a whole lot about my experience because I was literally there for 3 nights. It was more like a quick vacation. But yeah, I was definitely there not too long ago.
All right, but with that said, let's get right into it, and let's go and discuss about the update on Universal Orlando. Yes, Universal Studios in Orlando, Florida has revealed that they are going to be shutting down several attractions, most namely the kid-friendly attractions, in which they've revealed that they will be closing down Fievel's Playland, Woody Woodpecker's Nut House Coaster, Curious George Goes to Town, DreamWorks Destination, and Shrek and Donkey's Meet and Greet, in which they have revealed that the final day that they will be running these attractions will be on January 15th of next year. But they will not be going down in vain, because they did promise that they are going to go and build new attractions, new family-friendly attractions. In fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to read specifically on the official posts about it on Universal Orlando's Twitter page. Just got to go and load that up over here. Hold on a second. It's going to be coming soon. If it can show up. Ah, there we go. Okay. So, it states that Universal Orlando Resort will soon begin work on bringing exciting new family entertainment to Universal Studios Florida that will immerse guests in the adventures of beloved animated characters. To make way for these new additions, Fievel's Playland, Woody Woodpecker's Nut House Coaster, Curious George Goes to Town, DreamWorks Destination, and Shrek and Donkey's Meet and Greet will close on January 16th, 2023. The last day of operation will be January 15th, 2023. The E.T. Adventure, Animal Actors on Location, SpongeBob StorePants, including meet and greets with SpongeBob SquarePants and friends, and Kids Zone Pizza Company will remain open for guests to enjoy. Stay tuned. More details about the new experience coming to Universal Studios Florida will be revealed in the months ahead. For the latest updates about the destination, visit universalorlando.com. And on top of that, even though we don't necessarily have any confirmation of what they are going to go and replace, there's already been some rumors that they're speculating of what it could possibly be. And this is actually from my source here on Deadline, where they stated that some educated guesses about what will fill the space include a possible Pokemon attraction, or concepts based on DreamWorks or Illumination IP such as Trolls or The Secret Life of Pets. Illumination's Minions already have their own zone coming next year. Universal promises more details in the months ahead. So, Logan, I would like to know, what do you think about all this?
To quote Lizzo, it's about damn time. And the reason why I say that is because if you know the history of Kids Zone, it's way overdue for a change up, because even I admit, every time I go to Universal, whether it be as a kid or an adult, I keep forgetting that land exists. And it's not like it's a bad land or anything like that, but it's definitely it's one of those things where it's yeah, it's cool at first, but by the years go by, kids are going to be like grown out of it and they won't know who these specific characters are. Because think of it this way. When's the last time Universal has done anything with Fievel? Like, really think about that.
Yeah,
like
definitely true.
At least with Disney, when it comes like their much more older properties like Snow White, Peter Pan, and Little Mermaid and all that stuff, they at least still like make merchandise out of those. They still like promote those films when they're like montages and all that stuff. Like they're keeping those films alive. But when it comes like to stuff at Kids Zone, like Fievel, Woody Woodpecker, like I feel like I'm sure some kids are familiar with them, but they're not like the high stakes of how the Minions are in that popularity. So, and what makes it even funnier is like Universal they tried to get rid of this land for years with like so many like ideas, which I'm not sure if you heard about those ideas in the past.
I think I've heard of them. I forgot what they are, honestly.
Yeah, because I watched this video from a Theme Park Stop where she went into details like what some of the plans were, and some of them like they at one point they tried to convert that into like an Ice Age land based on the Ice Age films, the Smurfs based off the live action Smurfs, and they were this close on turning that land into Nintendo World, like the Super Mario World and all that stuff. And you know how so close they were? Around that time, they built like construction walls in front of ET to indicate like, oh, they're preparing like early preparation for that. But at the last minute, they decided to move Nintendo World to their upcoming park, Epic Universe. And so they said, yeah, let's just like do that and just like grab that idea for Kid Zone. And it's just like, I feel like after that point, I was thinking to myself, yeah, Kid Zone's not leaving anytime soon. Until today.
Yeah. I honestly, I feel like that's always been the one big drawback of Universal is that they don't necessarily have enough rides specifically towards kids. Like, yeah, they got E.T., they got Despicable Me, but everything else feels like it's geared a bit more for an older audience, or they're a bit more for thrill seekers. That it's not necessarily as kid-friendly as, say, Disney. But I think with this new edition, yeah, like it definitely is long overdue because, as you said, like not many kids nowadays care much about either Fievel or Curious George, or I would even throw in Shrek for that matter. Like it's not really properties that's really attracting a major crowd. And now that Universal has a whole batch of brand new kid-friendly properties, especially with the Illumination brand, and now that they do own DreamWorks, now they got like a whole, they got a whole library of what they can do to try to update it, to try to modernize it, and to make it more appealing for kids to go and meet whatever new character that they want to see.
Exactly. And going back to the Shrek and DreamWorks, I feel like those additions are more just like temporary uses because I feel like those are like more like a test to see how well kids will love these characters from DreamWorks. And I feel like I'm hoping they're going to that direction, that they're going to convert that area into like a DreamWorks kind of land. Because I feel like that would make much more sense because, well, Universal owns those characters. It's not as opposed to like licensing like a different character like they normally do in the past. Like, I mean, yeah, Pokemon Land will be cool, but yeah, I know they got like the rights to use Nintendo characters, but Pokemon is kind of like different when it comes to Nintendo stuff because that's more under Game Freak. Well, it's more like a division of Game Freak, so I'm not sure how that works. I mean, they got the rights to use them for Universal Japan, but anyways, yeah, I'm just saying like it does make sense that it's about time that they'll do something with it. And I'm honestly more surprised they didn't like revamp the Curious George section and make it more based off the PBS version, the more current Curious George. But I mean, I guess there's nothing wrong with keeping the book style. And Woody Woodpecker, man, they tried to make him their Mickey Mouse. It did not pan out well. And it's like, I wouldn't mind it so much if they do more with him, but the most they've really done nowadays is like that one live action movie, and they're still making those new web cartoons, but those are not really like the high degree of like how Mickey Mouse is with his stuff.
Yeah, that is true. And I honestly share the same sentiments as you, that I feel like what would be most likely to be the big replacement would be something related to DreamWorks, because considering that they do own DreamWorks Animation, they need some form of DreamWorks Animation representation. Like they're already going to have like a major Minions section, but now they need something to represent the DreamWorks movies, especially when nowadays they're still ranking up money. They're still, they're still pretty relevant, especially with properties such as Trolls, The Boss Baby, or even just recently with The Bad Guys. So that's why I'm thinking that what could most likely be the big replacement would be a clone of the DreamWorks Theater from Hollywood. That they're going to do the same thing that they did there, but bring it on board to Universal Orlando, so that we would also see whatever big show that they want to go and present, like the Kung Fu Panda experience. That, or I am thinking, if they're not going to go and take that route, I can also imagine they're going to do a clone of the Secret Life of Pets ride. That I'm sure it's already been doing some big numbers in Hollywood, so they want to bring in that experience as well onto Universal, especially with Secret Life of Pets being one of the biggest franchises from Illumination next to Despicable Me. What do you think?
Honestly, I mean, from what I've seen about the Secret Life of Pets, that does look like a really cool ride. But honestly, I feel like if I was put in charge of Universal, I feel like DreamWorks will make more sense, because yeah, you mentioned they already got like Minions in the front building, which I think they're going to convert that to basically Minion Land, because all the other Universal parks around the world do have their own Minion Land. And what's funny about that is, like, with Universal Singapore, at one point they did had a Madagascar land, but they recently closed that. Yeah, but they recently closed it in order to make way for Minions. So that's another thing too. Going back to DreamWorks, like if they want to do that land based on like DreamWorks, I hope it's like a whole variety of DreamWorks properties and not just one film. And I say that because I'm at the point where I'm kind of like a little tired of having lands dedicated to one franchise. I mean, yeah, it was cool when they did with Harry Potter, and with Disney, it's cool. I mean, it makes sense for them doing like Star Wars and Marvel. But think of it this way: if you're planning like making like a land dedicated to like one film franchise, how would you know how long the longevity of that said franchise?
Yeah.
Because going back what I said about the Madagascar land, it's like, yeah, Madagascar is popular, but is it really worth it to make a whole land based on Madagascar? Like, I don't know. I just think of it that way.
No, you do bring up a good point, and honestly, hopefully they will, like, maybe the big replacement is going to be something that's DreamWorks related. But also, I just want to mention, considering that they're taking away so many different rides, like they're taking away 5 different attractions, that's going to be a lot of space. So I can imagine that it's not just going to be one thing that they're going to go and replace and make a huge section out of. It could be like a variety of things, but it is definitely a well-needed update that they should have in order to attract kids, because nowadays Universal is starting to become a true challenger in the family-friendly content. So they got to have that be reflected upon with Universal. And not to mention that I wouldn't be surprised if they can't really do something that would be too big. And another reason why I would say it would be most likely that they would go and make something like the DreamWorks Theater is if they need to go and use that space and try to transform that a bit for the Halloween Horror Nights.
That's a good point, because I know they're currently using one of the show buildings for the Shrek 4D, or what used to be the Shrek 4D film, as part of the Universal Maze, which when I went, I didn't get a chance to do any of those, but just like look at the atmosphere, yeah, it is pretty cool. But yeah, I can definitely see them like potentially doing that for those certain occasions. And I did experience that DreamWorks Theater, the Kung Fu Panda show. That was really cool for what they did there. So I wouldn't be surprised if they bring that over, or if they have enough big a budget. I know at Universal Beijing they had their own like Kung Fu Panda ride, which
yes, I saw the YouTube video of that. Oh yeah, no,
yeah.
Go on. Sorry.
Oh no, sorry. I was gonna say, yeah. From what I saw of it, yeah, it looks pretty. I think I mean, it's not Disney level, but I still appreciate the effort that goes into it. So I wouldn't be surprised if they bring that over to the US parks.
Oh yeah. But then again, it all depends on like what they want to do, because you also have to consider Epic Universe, because there's a lot of different properties that they want to do. And I heard rumors that one of the sections is going to be dedicated to How to Train Your Dragon. So you never know if maybe they'll like have a Kung Fu Panda section there too, or they might change things up. But overall, though, we know they got options. We know they could probably do like a section based on Secret Life of Pets, on Sing, on like any of the DreamWorks stuff. So there are plenty of options.
Oh yeah, or there could be something else that we're not thinking about that Universal owns. I mean, besides Illumination and DreamWorks, I can't really think of anything nowadays that they could put in there. Like I said, unless they decided like to license out a third party to bring into this, but I doubt it.
Nah, oh no, you know what they're gonna do? We're gonna have
What?
we're gonna have a whole AAA theme park ride, a whole AAA dark ride dedicated to We're Back, a Dinosaur Story.
Oh my god!
with giant T-Rex animatronics, you know, like stomping around, roll back to market, go over town.
Oh my god, that will confuse the kid. But yeah, in the end, Fievel, I'm sorry. Your time was good back in the 90s, but it's time to retire you. Sorry, kid.
Yeah. And now with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you all, what do you think about Universal's plan of closing down several family-friendly attractions to make room for new kid-friendly attractions? And also, what would you like to see included in Universal? What new ride would you like to see, or what property would you like to be included at Universal Orlando? Let me know what you think on that. All right, let's see what we got. Honestly, I think it's for the best to close them. In my opinion, I think Universal needs more representation of their kid-friendly franchises, or anything DreamWorks related, considering how nowadays Universal has been having a lot of attractions based on their adult franchises and Nintendo. So honestly, I'm hoping we get this representation in the future. Okay. While I enjoyed those attractions at Universal, I can't act like they weren't on their way out. So their departure is bittersweet, but not unexpected. The real question here is, what will take its place? Maybe a troll simulator that whips you across the Trolls world. Then you got that Simpsons ride. How is a ride based on Family Guy just for the goofs? Oh my god.
No.
Well,
With Disney, no, that's not gonna happen.
Nah. Well, not a Secret Life of Pets ride that's not funny and takes way too long to wrap up, perfectly emulating the experience of watching the second film. There could be plenty of ideas, although that would be great. That actually, you know what? In the long run, that is going to be a consideration. Eventually, that license has to expire with The Simpsons, and they got to think of like a brand new ride to go and change that out.
That is for sure. As for what, I mean, I would love for a updated Fast and Furious ride that's not supercharged, but that's just me.
I don't know. Well, I mean, it could. I don't know. It depends if. Is the Fast and Furious franchise going to go on until like 20? Like, well, like from what I've heard from the rumors, it's like in 2028 when the contract expires or something like that.
Yeah, that's when it expires. But they could. Yeah, that's when the license to use The Simpsons will expire. So, I mean, I'm not going to say it had to be like Fast and Furious, but it's more like, I guess it just really depends what franchise will be popular by then. It's hard to tell, really.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we still got several years ahead, so we don't really know like what's going to be the next big thing that could ultimately replace it.
Yeah, and don't get me started on Marvel being at Islands of Adventure. That's a whole different story there.
Yeah, Disney already got their spies going on at Universal to see what's up.
That's for sure.
All right. As a fan of Woody Woodpecker, this news hurts me. I'm going to miss him so much at the parks, but at least I got the plushie of him. As for its replacement, I'm honestly going to guess it is DreamWorks content. Anyways, I knew these rides would go eventually, since the themes were extremely old. What would I like to see them be replaced with? Ice Age, no comment. Yes, it's owned by Disney, but I want to see Scrat. Also, I would love a Transformers-like ride based on the bad guys with an epic car chase.
That would be pretty cool.
That could actually be, yeah, that could be the one that could replace the Simpsons ride.
I can definitely see that working. Really quick on Woody Woodpecker, I'm sure he's still going to be in the park as like one of those walk around characters. It's not. I don't think that he's going to like be gone officially. But...
Yeah, I mean, like, SpongeBob doesn't have a ride there, but I'm sure, like, he's still in the parades and stuff like that.
Yeah, plus the Scooby-Doo characters are still there, and they don't have, like, anything.
That is true.
So, even though they're not owned by Universal, but still, like...
Exactly, and Scooby-Doo had a ride once, but now it's replaced by Jimmy Neutron and now Groove.
Yeah, true.
Let's see. I have not been to Universal Orlando for a long time since I was a kid, although I have been to Universal Hollywood this summer where I had a good time. Updating the rides for kids at Orlando does make sense as modern kids aren't familiar with older properties nowadays, so that's fine. I hope they add another DreamWorks theater in Orlando, as I had a blast over at Universal Hollywood this summer, so I hope they get to do something similar with this. Okay, I think I'll read one more comment before we jump into the next one. No huge loss. The only part of Kids Zone I care about is the ET adventure, and they're going to keep it, so this can only be a positive. Just as long as Universal doesn't further homogenize the park with more Despicable Me or Harry Potter. I can see great things from this. As for what I'd like to see replaced, I think Total Drama has a lot of theme park potential. Total Drama? Really?
What?
That's a surprise. Out of all the properties, they went with Total Drama Island.
Okay. Okay. But, you know, it's funny you mentioned about E.T., that's not going anywhere. As long as Steven Spielberg is still around, E.T. is never going to be replaced by anything. Because there's a history towards that. Because, not long story short, when they closed E.T. at California and Japan, Steven Spielberg was so pissed about it that if they were to close the one in Orlando, he would he'll be gone from Universal, or he'll go separate ways from Universal. That's how serious he was towards his ride. So yeah, when he's still around, don't expect E.T. to be gone anytime soon.
Yeah, fair enough. So we'll go and be right back, and we will get more into the animation madness that we have in store. Trust me, we're going to have a lot more good times with what we got with our next stories.
Okay.
And we are back. Now, for our next one, or actually for the next couple of stories that we actually have some trailers that we are going to watch. And for the first trailer that we will be seeing for this episode, well, I don't know if many people will be watching this in particular, considering that many will be more distracted by Disenchanted. But still, though, with this trailer, I gotta say, as an animation fan and as a Disney fan, this definitely grabbed my attention. Wouldn't you say, Logan?
For sure.
Oh, yes. So now with that said, let us now go and check out the trailer for the upcoming Disney Plus documentary, Mickey, The Story of a Mouse.
3 simple circles, a quarter and 2 dimes, probably the most universal symbol ever created by man or mouse.
Hi, Mickey!
What is it about Mickey Mouse?
Mickey Mouse to me is light. There's a lot of dark in the world, and he's hope.
It's magical to be able to channel all of our hopes and dreams, the innocence that we eventually lose and would like back.
Never lose sight of one thing, that it was all started by a mouse.
The story of Walt and Mickey wasn't just one continual success after success. It was stumble after stumble.
Mickey Mouse started in the Roaring 20s, but almost immediately the Depression fell.
You have groups saying, we want Mickey to help get us through World War II.
The American dream has suffered, but Mickey is able to bring that back.
Just like America splits in the 60s, Mickey Mouse splits as well. And those coexist in this one character. If you have an issue with authority, Mickey Mouse is your guy.
Mickey has taken the world by storm. This is something otherworldly.
He gets so big that he becomes this reflection of who we are. How is that even possible with this little mouse?
What would a culture from another planet think of seeing Mickey on everything? They might say, take me to your leader, and it would be Mickey.
He had become this divine figure that you didn't mess with.
We began a process to bring Mickey forward.
He's everywhere.
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 It's overwhelming. Like, leave me alone.
Oh, no. Okay, let's do that again.
Mickey is a thing we all share. There aren't many of those around.
Almost 100 years later, after all the things that Mickey has been through, he's still here.
We love a mouse. How crazy is that? That's a little absurd.
You've always been my best friend.
Streaming only on Disney+.
And that is Mickey, the Story of a Mouse, which will be coming soon to Disney+ on November 18th, which is technically Mickey Mouse's birthday. So, Logan, what did you think about what we just saw here?
I am definitely hyped on watching this because I think I might have mentioned this before, but I am a huge Mickey Mouse fan. I mean, obviously I love Disney in general, but Mickey Mouse in particular, like is one of those characters that holds dearly to my heart next to SpongeBob SquarePants. And the reason why I say that is because when I think of not just cartoon character, but pop culture icon, Mickey Mouse is definitely like the character I immediately think of. And because he's a character that, like, given like his history, like he's a character that like touched the many hearts of others because of how much of a optimistic person he is, or mouse in this case. But yeah, I mean, I grew up with him. I watched all the shorts growing up. I watched some of the TV shows, and he just holds like a special place in my heart because, like I said, like he is that character that you can actually look up to because he does have this optimistic view that, yeah, it's not like he's like happy all the time, but it's like the way I see it is like if I'm having like a really rough day, I always try to like think positive, like how to like improve to myself, like. I try to think more positively when I'm trying to like solve like a certain situation where I'm having like this really like off day. And I owe that to Mickey Mouse because he is definitely like that character that helps me get through life, basically. Not like in a sad way, but more just like he's just like a character that brings joy to me every time I like watch something from him, whether it be like at the theme parks, watching a movie or one of his shows, shorts, and all that stuff. Like some of my all-time favorite cartoons would be like stuff starring him, whether it be like the band concerts, the Brave Little Tailor, even like the recent one, Get a Horse. Like everything about it, I just like love watching like his presence. And to see like a documentary about this will be very intriguing to know more about the history that I haven't been aware of. And yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to see like what this documentary has to offer because lately, I've been more of a fan watching stuff more like the behind the scenes of how like certain things are made, as opposed to like the product itself. Like not too long ago, I watched that documentary about like the hatred towards Barney the dinosaur. I love you, you hate me. Like that's very fascinating to know like the backstory towards that. And I would love to, and that's just like love watching these kind of like these like documentaries about like the history of stuff, and it's more intriguing to know like the backstory, like how this came to be, where was this during this time period, how do things change, how do things get the better, how things got worse, stuff like that. Like I'm very fascinated, and especially with like Mickey Mouse, like I know like the history of Mickey Mouse, but I wouldn't be surprised if like some things I'm not aware of about Mickey Mouse himself, whether it be like the good, negative, and all that stuff.
Yeah, well, I don't know too much about the negative, considering that it is Disney who's making the documentary, but I digress.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but I will say I am on the same page as you as well. Like I grew up with Mickey Mouse. Like I watched all those classic cartoons. Like I remember I used to have a VHS called The Spirit of Mickey, which was like a collection of like many classic Mickey Mouse cartoons. And I remember watching that a lot. And that's how I got familiar with some of like the best of Mickey Mouse cartoons, like Steamboat Willie, the Brave Little Tailor, the Band Concert, and all those cartoons. And not to mention like even some of the stuff that he would appear at the time, like The House of Mouse or Mickey Mouse Workshop. I think Mickey Mouse Workshop or like those,
Mickey Mouse, something like that. Yeah, I think it's Mickey Mouse Works. Yeah,
Mickey Mouse Works. Yeah, like those. Those cartoons for the early 2000s, and especially as a Disney guy, like going to Disney World and stuff like that. Like Mickey was definitely a part of my childhood, and I still love Mickey to this day. And what I find to be very fascinating and exciting about this documentary is that it's going to be a refresher as to how Mickey Mouse is much more than a corporate mascot, because that's unfortunately what people view as Mickey Mouse today. They only see him as like the personification of the Walt Disney Company. And that's why like you would see all those like newspaper cartoons whenever they want to talk about Disney, they would use Mickey Mouse as a way to represent him and as a way to represent the current state of the Walt Disney Company. But this but with this documentary, it looks like they're really going to go in depth into much more about not just the cultural impact of Mickey Mouse, but also what Mickey represented, like especially back in his heyday during like the 1920s and the 1930s. Like what's very interesting is that they're going to go and bring up how Mickey Mouse was a key player in having the entire United States and debatably the entire world to go through the Great Depression and even even World War II, like to really go through some of the toughest times that people had to go through. Like then they will show how Mickey Mouse was metaphorically there to help them like be strong to get through this. And you know, what did Mickey meant back then? Like that's going to be really fascinating to see.
Exactly. And going back what I said about him being like optimistic, yeah, because he is there to help people like bring up a positive life. Because yeah, you mentioned what people don't really think much about this, but back in the 30s, Mickey Mouse was a really big deal. Like he is the character that he got so big to the point that he's like considered like a celebrity, to the point that he even like made like a cameo in this really obscure movie from the 30s called Hollywood Party, where he appeared like alongside other celebrities. Like that's how big he was. And he also got big to the point that he like inspired like ripoffs. Like, which funny story, quick side. So you know, like your video of like the worst Looney Tune characters, how you mentioned that Foxy was like a pure Mickey Mouse ripoff. Foxy is nothing compared to Milton Mouse. Have you heard of Milton Mouse?
I think I might have heard him once, but I need to look this up. Milton Mouse.
If you want to talk about pure Mickey Mouse ripoff, that's him right there. He's literally Mickey Mouse.
Oh,
like
dear.
Design wise, everything. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Like,
yeah.
Like I was surprised because I saw somebody share that on Twitter, and I was looking at that. I was like, "Wait, that's a Mickey Mouse short. What is this?" And then I did some research, and it's like, "Wow, somebody has the guts to do that."
Yeah, it's weird. It's like it's Mickey, but he kind of has a dog face.
Yeah, it's like more of like a dog face. His ears, wherever he turns, it's not that perfect circle. It's so weird. Like you this is something you can't get away with nowadays. But but anyways, going back to Mickey Mouse himself, yeah, he is definitely that icon that it was just really amazing, because this is the character that's been around for decades and decades. And what's really awesome about him is like he's not slowing down anytime soon. He's still relevant to this day. That's why, going back when I said he's the cartoon character, that's why, because he lasted this long. Sure, he got other characters like Bugs Bunny, Tom and Jerry, and Popeye, but yeah, I mean, you could debate that they're still relevant to this day, but they're nothing compared to like the levels how Mickey Mouse is, because he's still resonant to not just adults but kids and like everybody loves Mickey Mouse. Yeah, going back, not everybody loves Mickey Mouse, and it's really important. Like you mentioned, how people will use him as like this, like, oh, he's the represents like the evil side of Disney. Like, guys, don't blame Mickey, blame Bob Chapek.
Yeah, exactly.
So
just draw one circle instead of 3.
Exactly, yeah. So it's just really unfortunate that people like view him as like, oh, he's like pure evil and all that stuff, which I guess I can see. Oh, I get it. Not everybody's going to be a fan of Mickey Mouse, and I do respect that. But to view him as like this like evil like monstrosity, it's like you guys are going a little bit too far with it. There's like much worse things you got to worry about than Mickey Mouse. But yeah, going. Oh, sorry. What?
No. Go on. I was about to change the subject a bit.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say like no. Going back to like Mickey Mouse himself, yeah, I just feel like he is this character that is when you really think about it, it's really impressive that he lasts this long. And so it kind of makes me worried that in the next 2 years that he's going to be in the public domain.
Yeah,
maybe.
I don't know. I doubt that, honestly. Disney won't let that happen.
I mean, it's kind of scary to think about, but at the same time, it's like we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. Disney ain't gonna let that happen. But going back into the documentary, there is also another thing I want to bring up that is actually very fascinating with it. Is the people that they got on board. I mean, of course, a lot of them are Mickey Mouse fans, and a lot of Mickey Mouse collectors as well. Like one of the first guys that we do see, like I recognize him. I remember he appeared, I believe he appeared in an episode of Pawn Stars. Like this guy is a major like Mickey Mouse collector and collects a whole bunch of like Mickey Mouse paraphernalia and a few other stuff. Like you see Popeye on the side and you see Gulliver's Travels too. But you also got like a lot of recognizable animation figures. Like you got Floyd Norman, you got Eric Goldberg that's there. But one that I find to be very interesting, and this was actually a Twitter fan that actually pointed this out to me, is that apparently one of the people that they got to interview is right here. This man right here is the one and only Warren Spector, the creator of Epic Mickey, those old video games from a decade ago. And you guys know that I am the self-proclaimed biggest Epic Mickey fan, so by bringing him on board, already you got... Oh, no, wait, actually, yeah, it definitely is Warren Spector. I even noticed, like, right on the side, like, with his interview, like, he even has, like, a little poster or a box of Epic Mickey right over here. So, yeah, they're bringing him... they'll be bringing him in. They'll probably mention Epic Mickey, so that part right there makes me personally excited.
I'll be surprised if they didn't interview him.
Yeah, and I mean, like, he even stated, like, during his time when making Epic Mickey, like, he was a huge Mickey Mouse fan.
Oh, yeah. I mean, thanks to you, I know that knowledge from other videos you post about Epic Mickey.
Actually, there is one thing I want to show you, and I want to show you all, actually. I did an update just above my desk. I actually did get a few extra stuff that, hopefully this will be long enough. Oh, schnut. But as you can see, I made a bit of an update on some collectibles that I got based on Epic Mickey. So this is just like my little section, my little shrine dedicated to Epic Mickey with some of the accessories and stuff like that. It's not all the stuff that they've gotten, but it's just like my little homage to Epic Mickey right over here.
Okay, I am jealous of that little Oswald figure you got up there.
Yeah. Oh, the like the small one with all the other Mickeys?
The small ones. Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
It's like I don't come across like figures of him, but it's like when I do, it's like I so want it.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, there is one big one that's just Oswald, that like is publicly available that you can find. That one.
Yeah.
And then there's one I got from my P.O. box. Is this one?
I didn't notice that one. Yeah,
Walt Disney.
That's really
Oswald.
cool. Yeah.
They're not easy to find, but you can find them most likely on eBay now.
Oh yeah, I just didn't realize they have figures like that. When I saw that, it's like, oh my god, I got to do some research.
Oh yeah, nah, it's no, that I'm definitely proud of owning that. So yeah, I do have my own little Epic Mickey section, but overall though, I would say with this new documentary, yeah, I'm definitely excited for this. I'm definitely curious to see what they have in store, and like it will be a nice reminder to show us that Mickey is indeed more than just a corporate mascot. Like having a good summary of Mickey's history. Like, I think it definitely is worth a watch for that.
Exactly. I mean, hey, he is the mouse. So,
yeah,
hey,
exactly.
To quote Walt Disney, let us not forget, it was all started by a mouse.
Ah, yes. And with that said, I'd like to go into the chat wall, and I want to ask you all, what do you all think about the trailer that we've seen of Mickey, the Story of a Mouse? Are you guys interested in checking it out? Are you curious about it? Do you have any concerns? Let me know what you all think about this. Let's see what we got here. Hot dog, Mickey Mouse is getting a documentary. I grew up with Mickey Mouse in the 2000s when I loved to watch Mickey Mouse Clubhouse as a kid. I even like some of the old cartoons that he has. Hold on. Oh, excuse me. I even like some of the new cartoons that he has, and they are great. I can't wait to hear more about him than I actually know about him. I can't wait to watch this with my little brother when this comes out on Disney+. Also, nice Epic Mickey collection, Animat. You're welcome. Let's see what else we got here. Nice to see they're making the most out of Michael Theodore Mouse before the possibility enters the public domain next year. But for real, though, this looks really great. I'll definitely check it out. If I ever want to learn about the history of the world's greatest mouse, well, the one that isn't named Roddy St. James. But so far, I see this as being a contender for best documentary, just so long as no one makes any G.I. Jane jokes. I don't hate the movie, it's just bad things happen.
Oh boy.
Wow, that is true. Well, also, that is, there is one thing worth noting that I forgot to mention, that in the beginning of the documentary, at the start of it, they did mention that this is actually going to be brought to us by the same people who did Won't You Be My Neighbor, the Mr. Rogers documentary.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so you know that it is going to be in good hands. So at least like we'll be prepared for it, and I don't know, maybe it'll be like last time and it could be like godforsaken emotional.
Oh yeah.
Let's see, what other comments do we have? You're right. When this comes out, I'm definitely going to be watching this alongside Disenchanted and Zootopia Plus when it comes out. Still, this will be a very cute and enlightening documentary. I'm sure the story of the history of Mickey Mouse will be told without any biases or controversy. Also, I know this is wishful thinking, but the fact that Warren Spector is going to be in it makes me think that we might be getting some sort of Epic Mickey 1+2 rehydrated, if you will, in the near future. I don't know, man. I keep hearing those rumors. They've been going on, but I have my doubts. I would definitely be the first to know if that happens, but I don't know. I have my doubts.
Well, I'm hoping the best for you and to all the other Epic Mickey fans.
Oh yeah, all 15 of us.
Oof.
No, I'm just goofing around, man. No, I'm hoping if it does happen, I'd be freaking excited. Let's see. For me, Mickey isn't just a character. He's an icon and the very symbol of Disney itself, who is beloved by all. So getting to finally see a documentary all about his history has made me so excited, and I can't wait to hear about this legendary mouse. All right, nice.
I agree.
I think I'll read two more before we move on. As someone who is a huge Disney fan and a huge Mickey Mouse fan, this documentary seems very interesting. It looks like it could definitely go into the history of Mickey Mouse and how he became the iconic, recognizable character we all know today. So overall, I'm excited. All right. This documentary looks a lot better than the movie Walt Before Mickey, which took a lot of liberties with the story. And I can't wait to see Walt Disney's early days at Universal leading up to why he created Mickey Mouse into the Mickey Mouse that we know today. This is definitely a must-watch the day that it comes out. So yeah, so just remember that if you are all interested in checking out this new documentary, then keep in mind it's not going to be far off. It will be released next Friday on November 18th. Yes, but don't forget though, there are still a few more things to come. We got one more trailer to go and check out, so we'll be right back, and then I'll get back to you on the next trailer that we shall see. All right, we have now returned, and moving forward with our next story, we actually got another trailer that, funny enough, it was just released today. This actually just came out right before the show started. In fact, there have been a few animation news that did actually come out. We did hear about Daniel Kaluuya, in which he's now going to be the voice of Spider-Punk in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. As well as Netflix planning to do several adaptations, including animated adaptations of Gears of War. But we're not going to be talking about those. Instead, we are going to be talking about this new trailer that we got, which, by the way, once again, will be on Disney+. So now, let us now go and check out the trailer for the upcoming animated short series that actually is going to be coming very, very soon, which is Zootopia Plus.
Good evening. You're gonna be here all night.
Ready, Sue?
We've got a spectacular show with some amazing talent.
Dad, take the kids home and watch out for Timmy. He's a biter.
I'm not changing any diapers.
The producer said the ratings were dropping. Of course they were. Look at you guys.
No.
Ew.
She said that?
I'm the Duke of Weaseltown.
Oh, money.
You complete me.
Hey, dearie, call Judy.
Oh, I cannot get the password. No. Oh, hun, face scan. Oh, nice smile.
Life was hard for small mammals.
Ice 'em. Welcome to Zootopia's biggest talent competition.
Gazelle, I'm coming! Drop that beat!
So I'll just move this table over here. Might get a little musky, that's fine. The family you have makes you rich. The friends you choose makes them family. And with these things, you will never feel small. Salud!
There's the train!
Hang on!
Embrace your body and be free. I just saw the one place on a sheep that has no wool.
Parents, stream it on Disney+.
And that was Zootopia Plus, which is actually going to be coming very, very soon on November 9th, which is going to be this Wednesday. So, Logan, I would like to know, what do you think about what we've just seen?
I'm curious. It definitely looks very cute. Zootopia is definitely like one of my favorites when it comes to like the Disney animation canon. Like everything about that like works, and it's a film that I can like see myself watching over and over again. The only thing I didn't like about the film was the villain, but it's like it's one of those like twist films that doesn't like really work well. But what can you do? But yeah, overall the film is really great, and I'm loving this idea of like turning like. I know like people really want to see like sequels out of their films. Like I know people really want a Zootopia sequel, but for me, it's like I don't really like that idea. Mainly because given the track record, well, here's the thing: when it comes to like Disney sequels now, when it comes to like, for example, like Frozen 2, Wreck-It Ralph, Breaks the Internet, and even like the Pixar sequels, they're not bad, but they're more just either unnecessary or pointless. Or sometimes
they're like a slight downgrade from the original. And because of that,
Exactly.
yeah, like I mean, I really enjoy like all those sequels, but then again, I do acknowledge that they are like they're not as good as the original, considering that those originals set a massively, or I would even say impossibly high standard. So
Exactly.
so yeah, like even I like as much as I love Zootopia, I consider that the best animated film of the last decade. I wouldn't really be so keen on a full-on Zootopia sequel because like you know, not everything needs to have a sequel. We don't need to have like additional follow-ups, and honestly, it's best to like leave stuff like Zootopia alone and like focus on having more original ideas. Like honestly, I would much prefer to have like what we're gonna have now with Strange World than we would have a second Zootopia film, because at least like I don't know what to expect with Strange World, whereas Zootopia, I would end up putting like all these different expectations that chances are it's not going to meet.
Exactly. But with that being said, turning a TV series based on the movie, I can definitely see that working very well because yeah, think of it this way, like you don't really think too much because it's going to be like, in this case, it's going to be like a series of shorts. So you don't have to like think too much hard. Like you don't have to set your expectations like really high compared to like a sequel. And honestly, with a TV series, I feel like there's like you can expand more of that premise without, because there's like so much potential you can do with like this universe. And I feel like since they're going to be like short series, it'll be like short, simple, to the point, and overall they look like it's going to be like really fun. I especially like where they're going with this, like being more of like an anthology in a sense, whereas like each episode would be focusing on like different characters. Like if I gotta choose my favorite, like by the looks of it, I think like my personal favorite will be the one with the sloths, because Flash is my favorite character from the movie. Like I love everything about him in that one scene, which think about, I wish they didn't use that as like part of their trailer, but you know, what can you do? Because I remember when they played that scene during The Force Awakens, like everybody got a huge laugh out of that scene. Like the DVMs, and yeah, you know the scene I'm talking about.
Yeah, the DMV.
So it's yeah, people got a huge reaction out of that. I got a huge reaction out of that. So I'd love to see more what they're gonna do with Flash and his girlfriend. So, but yeah, overall, like I'm definitely intrigued because I really love the Baymax shorts they released not too long ago. Those I thought they were really well made.
Oh my god, yeah, honestly, I do agree with that as well, because and that's one thing I'm excited for with Zootopia Plus, because so far Disney's track record with these animated shorts, they're fantastic. Like with like you got the one based on Up that's very heartfelt. You got the Scrat one, which is also very, very good. And then like we got the Baymax series that I found it to be fantastic and very like one of the most sweet things that Disney has ever put out this year. It's beautiful. It's fantastic. Really enjoyed that one. So honestly, now that they're going to do it with Zootopia, and especially like you said, with the anthology aspect of it, like not really focusing on Judy and Nick, but instead focusing like on the other inhabitants of Zootopia, I think it's a genius move, like to really explore the whole city of Zootopia and like looking into their lifestyle as well. And another thing that I want to add that's like a pretty cool idea that I really like to see is how like with each of them, they're kind of doing parodies. Like you got the one like you got a Godfather parody, you got a So You Think You Could Dance parody, you got a Real Housewives parody. Like you got they're playing, like not only are they doing this as an anthology, but they're playing with different genres and kind of like different mediums, like even like going into the realm of reality shows as well. So that is honestly really fun to see, and that's also something that I feel excited to go and check out. And if I would go and pick a personal favorite, honestly, well, I can't really say right now what would it be, but the ones that I'm curious to see the most would have to be the Godfather one and the Duke the Musical. The fact that they're going to make this entire musical segment with Duke Weaselton. I think those are going to be like all of them, like they're probably going to be a blast, but those two especially I think I'll probably get like the most enjoyment out of.
Oh yeah, and you definitely tell like so much creativity is put to each one from what we see in the trailers. So it's going to be like really fun because yeah, like I said, this would be like a great way to give the Zootopia fans what they want without like getting like an official sequel out of it. And so I'm definitely very curious. The one thing I want to like note about this trailer is like you mentioned before that this is going to be released on Wednesday, or at the time you're going to upload this to YouTube, it will be released.
Yes.
Where's the promotion of this? Like I haven't seen this. Like literally, this is like the only time I've seen this being promoted.
Yeah, I think like not too long ago, I think like a few days ago, like there was an interview with the people who made the shorts, and like that was like our first ever time that we saw like pictures or clips from the animated series. I don't know. It's like, but that's the thing. Like it's weird, like not just Disney Plus, but just in just what they're doing in general with streaming stuff. Like often they barely do any form of advertising, and it's almost like they would go and do word of mouth. Like one thing I was absolutely shocked to learn was with the Night at the Museum movie. Apparently, like a few days ago, Disney just announced that they're going to release an animated Night at the Museum movie on Disney Plus on December 9th, which I felt like it was a news that came right out of left field. I did not expect that whatsoever. So I don't know. It's so weird.
It is weird. It's not just Disney Plus, but also like with Netflix and all these other streaming services where they like Netflix gets a lot of crap for this because they barely promote any of their stuff that isn't like Stranger Things or anything else that's like top tier popular. It's just so weird because yeah, going back to Night Museum, like I was aware of it, but I didn't realize it would be coming out this December. And I was like, wake up call. Okay. But yeah, it's just so weird. And same thing could apply to Strange World. Yeah, that's not going straight to streaming, but I feel like Disney doesn't do that much promoting of that movie. Yeah, you get like a few trailers, but they're not like pushing it compared to like Encanto or Frozen and all that stuff.
Yeah. And well, Strange World, that's also like, that's a bit of a different story, but that's also really weird that they're not really promoting that as well. Like maybe they're just focusing a lot more of their energy on Wakanda Forever and Avatar: The Way of Water. But still, but still, it is strange that we're not seeing a massive marketing push on Strange World. Like I don't know if it's just because like they got discouraged from Lightyear or something, but yeah, I don't know. Like that's kind of that's a bit of a weird. Yeah, it's like a weird thing that we're seeing like lack of promotion or just like the marketing is just lazy.
Seems like it, but I mean I'm hoping the best for Strange World. I mean I'll definitely see it, maybe not in theaters, maybe in theaters, it's hard to say, but I mean I want to give them Disney money for that movie, but I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. But anyways, going back to Zootopia, yeah, I'm definitely I wish I could like promote that a little bit better, but overall, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. I will say this. I mean, I'm trying to think what else to say about this. Don't expect Shakira to reprise her role. Yeah. I mean, if you hear about the news, then you know why. But that's honestly. But anyways, yeah, definitely looking fun. Like going back to what I said about the sequels, yeah, if Disney wants to do sequels off their movies, then doing like a set of shorts or even like a TV series is the best way to do it. Because a good example is Tangled, because yeah, they released the Tangled series not too long ago, and honestly, they did a better job with that than Frozen 2, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think I would agree, actually. Like, I really enjoyed Frozen 2, but Rapunzel's Tangled Adventure was better.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some things I like about Frozen 2, like, the two Elsa songs are really great.
Oh, yeah.
And Olaf has some funny moments, but if you were asking me what the plot of that movie was, I couldn't really tell you. I guess something to do with, like, a war they're trying to fix, but something about Elsa's mother, I I honestly don't remember about the plot. I just remember the songs.
And then you got Kristoff pretty much recreating Bernard's situation from The Rescuers Down Under.
Oh yeah, that whole plot line. That was in that 80s musical montage. I don't know. It was fun at the moment, but it's one of those films like the more you think about it, it's like, yeah, it's no Frozen 1.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like what Walt Disney said himself. You can't top pigs with pigs.
Yeah, true.
And if you know what I mean by that, then you know what I mean by that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, but no, you're right. Honestly, I really like this direction that Disney is going, where they're just making shorts and series instead of going like full-on sequels with it. And so far, they've provided a great track record with Up, with Baymax, with what they did with Scrat, with what Blue Sky did with Scrat, and now with Zootopia. Honestly, I'm really excited for this one.
Same here. Be more like Zootopia Plus and less of Lightyear.
Yeah. Yeah, even I would agree. I find Lightyear to be good, but yeah, you got a point. All right, so with that said, let us now go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you all, how do you feel about the Zootopia Plus trailer? Did you guys enjoy that? Do you have any additional questions? Is there something you would like to see? Let me know what you all think. Let's see now. Since its release, I've always advocated that Zootopia could get some form of sequel or follow-up, so I'm glad this is coming out after all. The animation still looks lively as ever. I love how Duke Weaselton looks like a proper smart boy in his tuxedo, and I'm just so glad Flash is getting his own short. He was the best character in the movie. All in all, this is going to be a must-watch for me. But curse my dirty mind for closing my eyes as Clawhauser says, "Gazelle, I'm coming!" Oh God! I'm sure DeviantArt has already done that.
I'm sure, but I'm not gonna look it up.
Nah. It's DeviantArt. You'll find everything, including that. Anyways, as a fan of the movie, the hype train is real. I've always watched Zootopia whenever I feel like watching it, and with Zootopia Plus, this looks like something I could definitely watch. It looks like the series, this series is gonna have some episodes that are gonna be a parody of some pop culture stuff like The Godfather, So You Think You Can Dance, and with other episodes like the Duke the Musical and Hop on Board. I would give those a watch the most, and I finally get to see my crush character Gazelle. Speaking of Gazelle, I'm coming.
Oh my God. I'm noticing a lot of Gazelle fans out there.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, it's Gazelle. What do you expect? As a huge Zootopia fan, I'm very excited to watch Zootopia Plus. The animation is still spectacular as the movie. The voice acting is excellent, and the comedy is very funny. While it's best that we didn't get a full-on sequel, it's still great that we're getting more content with this anthology short. Anthology shorts, which is a good thing since we're getting stories about the side characters in Zootopia. Can't wait to watch it when it comes out on Wednesday. All right. I really can't wait for the series to come out since I thought the film was excellent and the animation. The 3 films I'm looking forward to are Mr. Big's backstory and the Gazelle show, and finally the Duke musical because of 3 things. 1, Zootopia in the noir time sounds very interesting. 2, I like to see Chief Bogo and Clawhauser kick off a romantic relationship together. Bogo, I'm coming!
Oh my God.
I'm sorry, I just had to. I really like to see what the animation would look like in that spectacular musical sequence.
Who was the person that left that comment earlier? What was the name of that person? Do you remember?
Hold on, I can find that actually. Of course it's JF. Of course it has to be JF making that comment.
Oh man, well thank you JF for that.
Let's see. I only seen 2 episodes of Zootopia Plus at D23 Expo months ago. They only showed 2 episodes at that panel, Hop on Board and the Godfather parody. My favorite episode so far is definitely the Godfather parody. Hopefully the rest of the series will be fantastic. Also, one of the directors of Zootopia Plus followed me on Instagram after D23, and she's great. Ooh, awesome.
Lucky dog.
All right, I'll read one more comment before we go and move on to the finale now. Out of Disney's more recent movies, Zootopia is one of my favorites, and getting to see more of it is going to be so much fun. I do like that we are not just getting to see more of the minor characters from the movie, but also that they are going to make parodies of other genres. My favorite easily being The Godfather or The Bride. However, it is weird that Disney is not really promoting this, along with some of the other properties like Strange World, and now I just wonder why they are doing this. I don't know, it's setting a weird new standard for marketing in terms of like streaming stuff and with movies. I don't know, it's like something I'm not really on board with.
Maybe the marketers are underpaid or something, or they're like they hire new marketers and are still learning how to market stuff. I mean, I'm coming from somebody that does work in marketing. It's hard to say. Like,
okay. So yeah, who knows? But we will be right back with the grand finale. But there's just one more thing I would like to go and mention. Apparently, JF did make a response to this about what we've just said. And all he could say is just, what can I say except you're welcome?
Of course. Oh, boy.
And we're back. Well, at least I'm back. Oh, actually, right on time.
I'm back.
Hey, perfect timing, my dude. Perfect timing, because now
nice.
it is time that we get into the grand finale. And with this finale, before we do get into it, Logan, I would like to know something. Did you recently watch Wendell and Wild?
Unfortunately, I have not.
Really? Honestly,
yeah, sorry about that.
That's perfect. That's fine. I watched it and I highly enjoyed it. In fact, during this weekend, I was hanging out with my friends and we were actually watching the film and we had a pretty good time with it.
That's good. I did hear great things about it. I just haven't got a chance to watch it.
Whenever you can, I highly recommend it. But anyways, the reason why I do ask is because, well, with Wendell and Wild's release, it did put Henry Selick back in the spotlight, where now he's been going around making interviews, talking to many people, especially not just with his work on Wendell and Wild, but also with his past works like Coraline and The Nightmare Before Christmas. However, with those interviews, there is actually one thing that he did bring up that actually, well, brought back an old controversy per se. It's been a discussion that's been going on for a long time, but now with Henry Selick's opinion on the matter, it did bring in some newfound interest. And what I'm talking about specifically, it's in regards to The Nightmare Before Christmas. Now, this was actually because of an interview with the AV Club, where, again, Henry Selick was talking about his work on Wendell and Wild, along with his legacy with what he has done with Coraline, Monkey Bone, James and the Giant Peach, and The Nightmare Before Christmas. But when it comes to the latter, however, he actually revealed that he is starting to get tired about one aspect of the film, and that is the fact that it is often regarded as Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas. And he's starting to get tired that people are more associating the movie with him more so than Henry Selick himself. And to read you specifically that quote, and this is going to be from my source on Variety, in which they did take from AV Club. He stated right here that it was a little unfair because it wasn't called Tim Burton's Nightmare until 3 weeks before the film came out. And I would have been fine with that if that's what I signed up for. But Tim was in LA making 2 feature films while I directed that. And I mean, Tim is a genius, or he certainly was in his most creative years. I always thought his story was perfect, and he designed the main characters, but it was really me and my team of people who brought that to life. So he would then go on talking about some other stuff with The Nightmare Before Christmas, and even some of his other works like with Coraline, but primarily It's in regards to how he feels about people calling it Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas. So, Logan, I would like to know your piece on this. What do you think?
This is one of those things that are really tricky. And I say that because I can see it both ways, but I get where he's coming from. And I honestly do feel bad for him because what he said does make a whole lot of sense because it's like, yeah, he was the one in charge on creating this movie, but people are giving more credit towards Tim Burton because, yeah, he did came up with the character. I mean, he did wrote the original poem that movie is based off of, and he did create like some of the characters. But, and that's the thing, is like I'm part of this problem because I even forget that he even directed the movie. But can you really blame me? Tim Burton's name is like plastered on the title of the movie. Mm-hmm. So I definitely see where he's coming from. And it's really tricky because it's one of those things where it's like, I'm more on his side than anything else. But at the same time, it's like, the thing too is like, this is not the first time stuff like this happened. Like, another good example I can think of is like going back to Mickey Mouse. Like, yeah, Walt Disney envisioned him as a character, but he didn't really design him. That credit goes to Up Iwerks. He was mostly in charge on creating Mickey Mouse as it is. Like, yeah, Walt Disney did create him, but he didn't like create the Mickey Mouse we know today. And that's going back to The Nightmare Before Christmas. It's like, yeah, Henry Selick is like, I just feel like he doesn't get as much credit as he deserved for making that film. Because honestly, not too long ago, Matt, I was actually rewatching your animation look back on stop motion, and I did watch that section of where you talk about like Henry Selick, and yeah, the guy is very creative when it comes to like James the Giant Peach and Coraline. But at the same time, it's like I feel like those films don't. I mean, yeah, Coraline is very popular, but to the extent of Nightmare Before Christmas. But yeah, it just seems like there's like a disadvantage. Like outside of Night Before Christmas, it's like he doesn't get like as much respect towards his other films, especially Monkey Bone. My God, Monkey Bone. The history of that's like you said in the videos, like you don't know if you'll laugh or be sorry for the film.
Oh yeah, that thing was an absolute mess. But I do understand where you're coming from, and it is kind of like a complex discussion, especially with what Tim Burton has contributed. Because in a way, yes, you could make the argument that The Nightmare Before Christmas was Tim Burton's idea. He's the one who thought up of the entire idea of making some stop motion movie. He's the one who did develop the idea of the story, and he's the one who did design the characters. So even from the looks of things, it definitely is Tim Burton. However, when it comes to the actual movie itself, it definitely is more Henry Selick's movie, more so than it actually is Tim Burton. And this is not to mention like the other Tim Burton aspects, like even having Danny Elfman, who's a frequent collaborator of Tim Burton, to be on board. So yeah, there are some elements like in the creative aspect. Yeah, I could see why Tim Burton would get some credit, but I do agree Henry Selick should get more of the credit as a director. But one thing that I do understand about his frustration is regarding why it's so well known as a Tim Burton movie, and that really is for all the wrong reasons. It's really because of the marketing, that the marketers just decided to slap on Tim Burton's name in there because at the time, he was like the hottest new director in town. Like he was a massive name, especially with the movies that he was releasing at the time, like with Pee-wee's Big Adventure, with Batman, and with Beetlejuice, especially. Like he was really making a name for himself. And so by including Tim Burton's name, they would hope that it would bring in more people, especially with the fact that they'll put in Tim Burton's name and they'll heavily associate it with Beetlejuice, since Nightmare and Beetlejuice share a lot of very similar art styles. But other than that, though, when it comes to creating the actual movie, he was just a producer and he was far too busy working on many other feature films, and that's pretty much it. So honestly, like I do understand some of the arguments for Tim Burton, but I personally would side with Henry Selick. And unfortunately, I also want to add that this is something that to this day, we are still seeing this happen, where some people who don't really get involved as much get a lot more of the credit, more so than the actual people who created it. And I mean, like, we've seen a lot of examples in regards to how actors are being referenced for the movies that they would work on. They would say, like, it's the actor's movie to try to, like, distinguish it or stuff like that. But probably the best example that is very much related to this that I can think of is in regards to Phil Lord and Chris Miller. Because Lord and Miller, like, the movies that they have produced recently, like, are massive fan favorites and highly acclaimed both by critics and audiences alike, especially with Spider-Verse and The Mitchells versus the Machines. However, they are only producers. Well, some could argue that technically Phil Lord was one of the writers for Spider-Verse, but still, though, they weren't really the ones that worked on it, like, as much as they did, like, on the Lego Movie, for example. Like, they were primarily, and in some cases, only producers. And yet, when you do see the marketing of it, they always advertise that it's from them, that they are the guys that brought you the Mitchells versus the Machines. They're the ones that brought you, especially with Spider-Verse. Like, that always seems like nowadays the go-to thing with Phil Lord and Chris Miller, to address them as the guys who brought you Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Like, whether it be for marketing for other films or for, like, the media, like when there's, like, a journalism report, they would always associate Spider-Verse primarily with Phil Lord and Chris Miller. And it's unfortunate because nowadays, not many people, I would even say not many animation fans, would even tell you who were the actual directors of those movies without looking them up. Like, nowadays, not many people would be familiar with the names of Mike Rianda, of Peter Ramsey, of Bob Persichetti, or Rodney Rothman. Now, this is not to go and attack or to blame Phil Lord and Chris Miller themselves, but again, this is another example of how the marketing goes more for the bigger names, regardless of the amount of effort that they would go in, and it would kind of screw with people's minds, thinking that it's their movie and that they're the ones who actually worked on it, instead of the actual people who did lead the project to go and create the feature.
Exactly. And it's very unfortunate because it's going back to the whole thing about, like, oh, Hollywood don't respect animation and all that stuff, because they much rather, like, push the more bigger names out there as opposed to who was actually in charge of it. I mean, the most you'll get is, like, from the studio that brought you Toy Story, or from the vision mind of Coraline, like, stuff like that. They don't actually say the person's name. It's more just like, oh, they're behind, like, the one word. Then,
well, the studio, I don't mind, because there is technically some truth to it, in that, like, with animation, there's, like, an entire, like, it does technically reflect upon the entire team. So, like, that can get a little bit of a pass. So, like, associating it with the studio is not that big of a problem. But when it comes to, like, specific people, that's when it gets a little bit screwy.
yeah, and it just, like, shows, like, it just makes me mad whenever I see, like, Hollywood being very disrespectful for people who actually are in charge of making these animations. Because it's like, you hear, like, so many stories of how much, like, they, like, screw over, like, ideas that they had in mind, but they don't either go through it, they don't give them, like, the proper credit. And it's back with, like, Henry Selick. It's like, yeah, that he deserved much more credit for what he contributed for The Nightmare Before Christmas. And it's so complicated because, yeah, Tim Burton was the one, and I get the idea of wanting to, like, push his name towards this project, because if you really think about it, the whole marketing of Nightmare Before Christmas is, like, so bizarre, because they originally want to put this under the Disney name, but because at the time they thought the movie was going to be too scary, so they put it under Touchstone. But by the years go by, like, once Disney saw, like, the profit, like, how popular Nightmare was, it's like, yeah, we should probably, like, put Disney name back into this. So now it's, like, released under the Disney name, but it's more like Disney's Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas, and it's like, there's a whole history towards that, but we're not here to talk about the marketing side. But I get the idea, like, want to push his name towards that, because, yeah, like you mentioned, at the time, Tim Burton was a big deal. So I get that aspect, but I feel like if they didn't push that, like I feel like this would have been solved if at some point the trailer mentions from the imagination of Tim Burton while being and also from the director of Henry Selick. Like I feel like there should be like a double credit per se. Like have both his name, like Tim's name and Henry's name, like being attached on the title or something like that. Like more credit on both sides, mainly Henry Selick, but it just like shows how like disrespectful like animators are still to this day when it comes to Hollywood, and it's just like it just makes me very unfortunate. And yeah, Tim Burton started off as an animator, but he's not doing that nowadays. So it's yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. And even nowadays, like a lot of people have pointed out that in a way, Henry Selick is not really getting that same respect, and that like people are not saying his name. Like a great example is, funny enough, the article that I have here from Variety, in which if you look at the title, so they did actually bring it up because beforehand, a lot of people have mentioned that in the like I could be wrong, but in the original title of this article, they didn't actually say Henry Selick's name. Like they only referred to him as Nightmare Before Christmas director. It says is a little unfair that Tim Burton gets all the credit. So like they probably have updated this, like, and I probably didn't check, but I remember there was like there was that backlash from some journalists that they wouldn't even credit Henry Selick and just refer to him as the Nightmare Before Christmas director.
Yeah, it's not like Henry Selick, the director of Nightmare Before Christmas, blah, blah, blah. No, it's just the Nightmare Before Christmas guy, or just that guy. Like, I always hated when people, like, refer to, like, certain directors or people, like, artists as that person. Like, I get, like, if you don't know the name at the top of their head, but if you know the name, then say the name. Don't be like, oh, that person that directed this film, you know? Like, not that, I mean, I've done that before in the past, but, like, I literally... like I said, I'm part of the problem. Whereas, like, I even like forget that he indeed directed The Nightmare Before Christmas. So it's just, and that, yeah. Overall, it's just like it's just how like people want to market things, and I do sympathize for Henry Selick because yeah, he put in the hours into making stop motion. And if you ever dealt with stop motion, it is complicated.
Oh yeah,
like I've done a little stop motion like when I was in like during like high school, and even then that's so like tedious because I didn't have like the proper lighting and cameras and all that stuff. But I can imagine like doing that at a much more higher scale. Like watching like the documentaries, like how they made Nightmare Before Christmas, like 500 jackheads. Like my goodness.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous process. I even like. You mentioned the stop you mentioned about Animation Look Back, the best of stop motion. I even tried my own stop motion there, and it's not an easy process. Like it's a massive challenge in itself.
Yeah, I mean you can try it, but it's small. Like take like an action figure, mess around with that, and then you'll see what we're talking about.
Yeah, do like little Lego movies, and then go from there.
Yeah, there we go. Lego's a good start.
Yeah. So with that said, I would like to now just go into the chat wall. And now I want to ask you, what do you all think about the whole Tim Burton and Henry Selick controversy with The Nightmare Before Christmas? Which side are you on? Who do you think deserves more of the credit, Henry Selick or Tim Burton? Let me know what you think.
Team Tim or Team Henry?
Team Tim. Yeah, oh my god, yeah. An animation civil war. Oh, let's see.
Oh, jeez.
I honestly completely understand why Henry Selick is upset with this, considering how nowadays, with The Nightmare Before Christmas, people give a lot of credit to Tim Burton, who directed it. I think Henry Selick deserves more credit, considering he did help work on the movie, so he honestly deserves as much attention as Tim Burton got for the movie. Let's see. Yeah, I think that the higher-ups at Disney should rename the title to Tim Burton and Henry Selick's Nightmare Before Christmas, since they should credit him as well for helming Tim Burton's movie. I love to see the two team up again and make a spiritual successor to The Night Before Christmas. I also heard that he got the rights back to the Shadow King, and I hope he reimagines it to his film rather than being bended the knee to John Lasseter. Yeah, that is.
I did hear about that.
Yeah, that is also another recent update that apparently he got the rights back to the Shadow King. So hopefully it could actually happen, because from the animation tests that I've seen, there's still a lot of promise to it. It looks actually pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, good for him getting the rights back, because I saw your video where you talked about that, and yeah.
It's unfortunate, but I remember I did put in like a bit of an opening about the possibility that it could happen. So maybe I might be right. Like, maybe the day might come that we could see the Shadow King happen.
I gotta say, good prediction if that's the case.
Oh yeah. Oh, let's see now. This sort of reminds me of Bob Camp and Steve Marmol, developers of John Kay's Ren and Stimpy and Butch Hartman's Danny Phantom. Despite the creators' reputations in later years, their shows are still fondly remembered. They say while John and Butch did create the shows, Bob and Steve were the ones keeping the shows and the creators in check. When John and Butch stopped working with them, they lacked charm. At least that's what I heard in the Danny Phantom finale and Cans Without Label. That honestly does make a lot of sense. And even nowadays,
that's another good example.
Yeah, and actually, it's funny to mention that, because even nowadays, a lot of people are now referring Ren and Stimpy as Bob Camp's show more so than John Kay's show. So, like, in a way, there is a bit of that poetic justice where Bob Camp is finally getting the credit that he does deserve for Ren and Stimpy.
Exactly. If you guys want to watch John Kay's Ren and Stimpy, watch Adult Party Cartoon, because that is truly awful.
No,
in so many ways.
No thanks. I'm good. Like, I know there's even one episode I heard is like them at the beach with a bunch of topless girls, but then again, knowing John Kay's interests, it's like, I don't want to question the girl's age in this, so
yeah, let's get past that. Next response.
Let's see. Henry Selick is a legendary animation director and deserves all the credit that he has done, and I do feel sorry for him for not getting enough credit he deserves when he made The Nightmare Before Christmas and at the time. It's sad that many studios would try to market someone who is bigger like Tim Burton than someone like Selick that did all the work, so I hope he gets the much credit that he does deserve. Yeah, I definitely hope so. We'll read one more comment before capping this off. On one hand, Tim Burton did create the original story and design the main characters. On the other hand, Henry was the actual director, was involved in a lot more of the movie, and he was most likely a victim of the biased animation directors faces even to this day. Honestly, I think one quote from Ren and Stimpy fits the story best. A producer is the guy that tells them, the artist, what to do, and then later make all the changes, and then, when the cartoon's done, he takes all the credit.
That quote's still relevant to this day. I love that line.
Yeah, that is true. And with that said, that should do it for this episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. Logan, thank you so much for joining me on this. And are there any places that people would go and find you online? And also, going back to the first story we talked about, where can we go and follow you for Amazement Park?
So yeah, thank you again for having me on board on your podcast again, Matt. I really appreciate it. It was definitely a fun time again. As to where you can follow me, if you want to follow me specifically, you can still find me on Twitter under ToucanLDM, where I'll definitely follow me there for certain updates. But if you want to follow Amazement Park and specifically just Amazement Park, you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. That's where you're going to get most of the updates in regard to the series. So if you want to get updates on the future progress of how the series is coming along, yeah, you can definitely follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. As for the names, on Twitter, you can find it under Amaze Park Show. On Facebook, give me 1 second. I gave these like different names because I didn't realize like some of the names would be taken. But you can find on Facebook, you can find it under Amazement Park -animated. On Instagram, you can find it just as Amazement Park Animated, no spaces. So hopefully that helps. If anything, just let me know.
All
And
right.
I'm sure, like, if you watch this on YouTube, you can find the links in the description below. So,
Yeah, that does make sense. And also, if you guys enjoyed your time here on AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, then don't forget to go and subscribe to the Twitch channel, and also subscribe to the AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast YouTube channel. And also, don't forget to go and follow me on do I have anything else to... Oh, wait! Yeah, right. I almost forgot. Like, I had a bit of a brain fart. But don't forget to go and follow me on any podcast service you're listening, whether it be on Amazon, Spotify, Google Play, iTunes, and so much more. And with that said and done, tune in next week for another fun-filled adventure at AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for listening. And until next time, see you later, dudes.
take care.